April 13th, 2022. Last night, there was some storms passing through this area, and apparently there was like a power outage at the gym that I wanted to access, the 24-hour gym. And I thought before I walked up to the door, my thoughts on the way into the facility were, what if I didn't have access to this facility at this moment? What if there is something wrong and it won't let me access my key card? Immediately I had thought that, and I thought, no, it'll be fine. These things, they work all the time. And I tried to access with my key card and it wasn't going through. And somebody had to let me in, and when they let me in, they said, oh, you must be a member. One of the other members had to let me in, and there's something wrong with the access on that, and the doors weren't opening. So I was at the facility for a little while, using the restroom, and then finally I passed by the team member that was here. He finally had shown up, and I gave him my name and number my name so that he could have that in order to get paid for my entrance and exit through the facility. But I felt very confused as to why I had that thought, and then all of a sudden, the access wasn't granted. And that kind of reminds me of just the little things that I've had sort of like weird premonitions toward during my life, and how I should have ran the day that I was invited. I should have never met Jason Wallace, and being homeless is one thing. I could handle that. Being homeless and pregnant, that's really rough, because a majority of people probably think that I became homeless due to my own failures. And in actuality, it was not due to my own failures. It was due to everyone's hatred toward me. So, I didn't fail at anything. In my life, I've done nothing but try to succeed and, get that recognition in that way of knowing I could do things on my own. It is not fair in the slightest that anyone would presume that I'm just a homeless person due to my own incompetencies, because in actuality, I've had so many opportunities to expand, but didn't take them because I knew it wasn't right for me. So I wanted to take time out for myself, be a vagabond, do my own thing, freely. And now I've got a child growing inside of me, and I'm nearly halfway through the pregnancy. I'm about halfway through the pregnancy right now, and the father has not shown up for me at all, in any facet at all. No money offered, no emotional support, no communication. He made sure that I realized that I was nothing to anyone. And that hurts deeply when people remind me that this world is full of nothing but predators, full of nothing but hateful, angry people that take out their aggression on others, as opposed to seeking therapy, or as opposed to doing things that are beneficial for them overall. So it is very sad. I know that, by the time this baby is born, if a miracle doesn't happen about me finding a place to stay, I will not be able to keep the baby. But I will not sign it over and adopt it to anyone. It will go into the foster care system until I get my feet back on the ground and have a place and a home for it. And even if it doesn't end up getting back around to me and it's always in foster care, then that's just how it's going to be, because the father didn't love me, And I am not the type of woman that has has children by a bunch of different people. I always presumed I was going to be married before I would give birth to my next child. I prayed and prayed and prayed over it. I've asked God since I was a child for a loving and caring home. Nothing but praying, nothing but meditating. And it's not even like negative. It's a majority of it was always positive. Like, think positively, Leticia. I know you're sad right now, but God will work me, God will help me through this. And, if you just keep praying, things will get better. This coming from a Catholic schoolgirl that started going to Catholic schools when she was in the 2nd grade until 8th grade. So I had 6 years or so, of 7 years of me being exposed to that reality, which is it reality? To sit there and pray to a God that doesn't exist anymore because nobody believes in the same concept of God as you. Everybody's at war with each other, saying that their God is more superior than the other or the next or whatever. In actuality, they're all intertwined. So it's part of the universe, it's part of our consciousness, it's a part of everything. Even the people that are murderers, even the people that are rapists, they're all a part of it to balance out the universe around us. So I thought, no, I've had so much negative in my life, there's got to be nothing but positives to come toward me, Leticia, you've accomplished so much in your life of maintaining through all of this abuse, maintaining through all of this trauma. I was wrong. I'm always wrong. And I tell people all the time, there are times where I am spot on with things before even recognizing or knowing. And then there are other times when I feel like I should have never existed. I should have never opened my mouth. I should have never communicated. I should have never offered help. I should have never offered comfort, because no one is here to comfort me in those times of need. When I truly need somebody, when I need somebody to stop me from trying to cut myself, when I need somebody to just hold me and let me cry, I don't have that. And this baby's not going to have that through me either, or its father. And that's fine. Making more trash children like myself, I'm a piece of shit, and I know that because everybody has made sure I've known that my whole life, that I'm just a number, and I'm one of those that get free lunches, I'm nothing to the system, and my children are definitely nothing to the system either, because I have not accomplished enough in this world to become famous, to become rich, and apparently that is indicative of success. So, I just don't understand where I'm headed to anymore. I know that there are times where I know exactly where I'm going, and right now it's one of those times where I feel like I'm gonna harm myself. I'm halfway through this fucking pregnancy, and all I want to do is make a noose and jump off of somewhere really high up so that I can make sure it's a quick and easy snap of my neck. And I'm not even sad about it anymore. I used to cry when I would have my attempts. I used to cry and want somebody to stop me in that way, want somebody to stop me, to prove to me that there is better out there. But I've been having suicide attempts since I was 12 years old, and I'm now 34, gonna be 35. And I'm very ashamed of existing right now. I'm ashamed that I was raped while I was sleeping, so I didn't stop it. And once I was forced into that, the only thing that plays over and over in my mind about that situation, because I block out a lot of things because it's too traumatic, or you'd see me crying constantly, is when I pulled my pants on and rolled over crying a little, and he said, "You're making me feel bad." That's the only thing that keeps relaying over and over in my head. You're making me feel bad. He raped me, and he turned around and blamed it on me and said, "You are making me feel bad." That is a clear sign of a narcissist. That is a clear sign of someone that is that is mentally ill, and they don't care about anyone, so egotistical, so enveloped with themselves and their own existence and their reality, that they just wanted to destroy someone else's because I was just some homeless girl. I was just some homeless wanderer, and he paid in enough by paying for an Airbnb for a few days, or so he thought. And then all of a sudden I've got a baby, and I'm just gonna let them know who the father is in the records. That way they have that, but I'm not gonna be seeking some kind of DNA test or anything like that. There's no reason to. He doesn't want any part of it, and I'm not gonna seek any kind of like compensation through it or child support. That's not the type of person I am. If I'm not married to the father of the child, then the child is not mine. That's how God wants it. That's how God created me. I've got certain very strict guidelines that I abide by that most people don't understand. And even the fact that I'm a vegan now, it's not even just based around my health, it's based around everything in conjunction. The animal's well-being, and my own physical ailments that I've managed to combat through eating a plant-based diet. So, yeah, I've decided at this point, since there's no father, since there's no ring on my finger, since there's nothing of that nature, that this baby is just going to go to the foster care system. And there's no reason for me to feel sorry about it. There's no reason for me to feel guilty about it. This child was forced upon me, and it will suffer in foster care. And that's how the father wanted it. So, and that's how God wanted it, because God didn't place me into a situation, a loving situation, and this child is not going to be in any loving situation either for the rest of its life. And I see that now, because if the other half of me didn't want this, didn't want me, then they didn't want the existence of any comfort, what's the word, sort of like compassion. They didn't want the existence for their child. No, this child does not exist to Jason Wallace, and it doesn't exist necessarily to me, aside from the fact that yes, I feel it, yes, it moves around a lot, yes, I'm taking care of it, yes, I'm taking my vitamins, yes, I'm getting exercise and plenty of water. I do better than most pregnant women, even pregnant women that I've known. And it's like, do you even realize what's going on with your own body in order for you to have so many ailments? And then I did the same thing with my first pregnancy. I was horrified. I was scared. I didn't know what was going on with my body. I laid around a lot instead of getting a lot of activity, and pregnant women should be getting more activity because there's more blood. And, that's why we have so much swelling in our feet, even from just short bursts of sitting for too long. So it's very beneficial to get the blood flow back over, throughout your entire body. And the only way to do that is to get physical activity in some form or another, and to move all of those ligaments and those limbs and those extremities. Sorry. But, my life is just here so that other people can laugh. My life is just here so that other people can, laugh at me because they ended up with more than I had. And it's funny to them that I suffer. And that's why I purposely put these videos out there, because I know for a fact that those people that are laughing first are going to laugh last. And that's what I want through these videos, is for people to understand that my pain and suffering is going to come back tenfold on those that have not offered to help me properly. It is going to come back 20-fold on your children and multiply beyond that with every generation. I don't understand why I would even necessarily need to have to curse everyone. but that's just how it goes. The fact that I'm suffering, the fact that I've pleaded with God my entire existence to help me, to help, sanctify all of these relationships and to fix all of these demonic forces that are making everyone else around me mentally ill, but yet I'm the one that's classified as mentally ill. So I don't mind in the slightest, because it's a very backward world now. It's a very, very disrupted and just contaminated and perverse, toxic world that we live in. And I really don't mind placing all of my information out there so that people can pick apart every bit of my reality and try to contradict what's going on and tell me things like that's not even possible. Well, if it's not possible, then why is it in my reality? If it's not possible, then why do I film these things? If it's not possible, then why do I have documentation of these things? If things are not feasible to you, that doesn't mean that they don't exist. The devil exists in this day and age, and he walks around freely with military uniforms on. That is all of this intertwined. So we were told that we could trust these people. In actuality, they're all mentally ill, and I should have known better than to speak with officers, to speak with military men, or even try to approach military men after they've gotten out of their service in order to engage and have a relationship. I thought maybe someone else that might understand a little bit about what I've suffered through with post-traumatic stress would be a good comfort for me. I thought that I would find the perfect partner that, they had served honorably or whatever, and then I would be able to just be somebody's wife and that we would have a family. But that doesn't happen for trash like me. It doesn't happen for mixed breeds like me, half Mexican, half white, and turned out ugly. It doesn't happen to people that aren't smart enough. It doesn't happen to people that aren't talented enough. And I thought for a while that I would just be able to blend in then, don't spotlight yourself. Just hide in the shadows. But now that everything has compiled in the way that it has, I don't mind disclosing every bit of stupidity that I've lived through, and not necessarily stupidity on my behalf, stupidity of those around me. And that is exactly why I convey all of this, because I know that I appropriated myself better than a majority of the people that I discuss. And then I'm the one that is left for dead at the end of the day. I'm the one that is left with nothing. I'm the one that is left with, the fact that I tried to correct their reality is apparently unwelcomed to most people. They don't want their reality questioned. I hardly want my reality questioned, but there are times where I do question it because of the fact that these other individuals are more intelligent than I am. But, and like right now, it's raining, it's starting to rain heavily, and all I want to do is speed down the interstate and hope that I crash and burn, and that nobody gets to see this baby or hold this baby, because if I can't, then no one should be able to. And I curse anybody who cares for my children beyond me, I curse them to the end of their existence and then some. So if I cannot partake in the love that I deserve and created, if I cannot partake in that, then no one should. And I understand that that is not necessarily healthy, to want to be vindictive or spiteful toward those that have taken from me. But I'm not Jesus. I am definitely not Jesus. And Jesus was forgiving and compassionate toward everyone. Jesus forgave everyone for abusing him. And I do too, to a certain extent. But that doesn't mean that we weren't cursed. And that doesn't mean that Jesus didn't leave curses through his blood, with the rest of us. Because the majority of us use his name in vain. And we're not going around doing the proper thing toward the world around us. We use Jesus to protect ourselves and not to protect others. The name of Christ. So everyone thought, oh yeah, she's gonna burn if she starts speaking about all these things and speaking about religion, and she's actually the witch, actually the devil, actually this and that. No, I can preach all I fucking want about God, and you know what? It's actually correct. It's actually accurate, as opposed to all these other people that say, like my father, well, why do you think that they ended up getting, repopulated the world? They had to have had sex with their children. Do you not understand the science behind that? I knew from a very early age that there was something wrong with incest. And so many ignorant people think that that's Jesus talking to them. My arousal, my dick getting hard for random people is Jesus. That's what men think. That's what the deranged beliefs that men think. They think that that's, whatever, and it's okay to alleviate their stress in all these different women, to spill their seed everywhere. And then they turn around and they say to themselves, like, well, I did good by God because God wants me to repopulate the earth with my shit-ass sperm. Nobody wanted your shit-ass sperm, Jason Wallace. There might have been some bitch that paid for it, and she got a little boy out of it too, but this little boy doesn't want shit to do with you because its mother wants nothing to do with you. You're a piece of trash. You are. Absolutely everything about you. I do not want anything to do with you ever the fuck again. And the fact that I'm having to suffer, the fact that I had to block out even more connections through not being able to date freely, and you're out gallivanting, doing whatever the fuck, fucking whoever you want to fuck after you fucked me, and I was trying to be polite. I tried to reach out. I knew something was wrong, and you didn't believe me. You thought I was just some crazy bitch wanting your dick. No. Nobody wants your fucking stupid ass dick, Jason Wallace. You only last a minute. So what's the fucking... You're a fucking you're a disgrace to men and mankind. You're a disgrace. That means this child is a disgrace. And I'm not going to raise a bastard child by somebody that is dishonorable. So there's that. And people really don't understand why I place all this information out there. And I'm thinking, you have no idea. I have no one to talk to. And I don't care. I don't care what judgments are toward me, whatever. I really don't care. But from my words and the words of God and the Bible and everything, I know that this is not good. The rape, all of this, yada yada. I am not married. There is no marriage here. There might be like a spiritual connection, marriage in that way. We created life. But there is no actual marriage here on this plane. So that means that I don't have to do anything on this plane in order to try to work towards something that doesn't exist. If it doesn't exist tangibly, then I'm done. Like I've snapped. I'm living in another dimension generally, and that's funny because it's actually true. Because a majority of the time people see me laughing to myself and whatever because all these random thoughts in my head. And I just laugh about all the trauma. I laugh about all the things that I've suffered through that other people could never even imagine. Other people could never even fathom just going through so much pain and still having a smile on your face. And a pretty smile at that I'm not fucked up on meth here and there or, doing all this crack and shit. I thought about it many times and I thought, God is going to help me, right? God, if I'm a good girl, if I keep continuing, if I persist in doing the right things as opposed to the wrong things, if I start learning how to communicate, if I start doing this and that, if I start, educating myself in certain ways, if I start dressing certain ways, people will accept me. No, there is no acceptance for bad blood like this. I've got tainted blood. My children have tainted blood because that's the only reason that I'm being ostracized and persecuted to this day. Apparently, Jesus' blood lives through me, and everyone else believes that their Jesus is more powerful than mine. Everyone believes that their version of Jesus is more powerful than my version of Jesus. I'm sorry, did you spend 7 years in a Catholic school? I'm sorry, what? No, you didn't. Majority of you did not. You did not offer yourself to God like I did in those years. I begged and pleaded for God to fix the situations, and it's not my fault that I fell into sexual deviancies here and there due to the sexual trauma that I sustained at the hands of the people that said that they loved me, at the hands of the people that were supposed to protect me, the hands of the people that were supposed to defend me and to coddle me and to comfort me in my times of need. Instead, they made it worse. Instead, I ended up with post-traumatic stress. The father of this baby doesn't believe in the existence of post-traumatic stress disorder. So I don't know what kind of miracles he believes in, but apparently he is his own God, so he's a megalomaniac, and that's just how it works. So, obsessed with your own power, obsessed with your own capability of destroying others. And that's sad, because inevitably you'll get yours, and it doesn't matter to me either way. It really doesn't. That's why every time I wake up, people get a different version of me. And it's like, wait a second, no, you don't understand. These are not different variations of me. They're all me. And that's why I tell people, I don't have multiple personalities. Everyone has different facets of themselves. Everyone has different levels to their frustration, to their happiness, to their overall, sadness and this and that. We're compiled of all types of emotions and energy and interaction within our own body, in our own, chemical makeup that interacts with the world around us through electrical currents. And I just don't understand why people don't get that. There's so much in science that proves the shit that I say, and I put it in poetic terms and spiritual terms, and people don't rationalize that. They think ghosts aren't real. The fuck you trying to say here? You're telling me that the energy doesn't pass from one plane to another? Energy flow does not stop. You can't just stop and make it go away. Like, that's against physics. What's set in motion, stays in motion, whatever. You know what I'm saying? So you can't just kill off something and expect that the energy is gone from that. Yes, it might be gone from this physical plane, but that doesn't mean it doesn't transition to different areas, And they've come to find that out. They know. And they just don't disclose a lot to the masses because the masses would go crazy knowing too much information. And that's why people wonder and question where I'm getting my information. And I tell them the true God, apparently, because they're believing and believing that harming me is going to help them in the long run. That doesn't help anybody. And it doesn't even help it themselves in that way, like they presume. It ends up backfiring. And that's why, I guess that's why I was sent to this earth. That's why I keep getting sent back. So that I can send people these messages of hatred and love and try to get them to see that love is the answer and not all of this pain and suffering that they've caused others and themselves. And some people have the most mundane and just mediocre conflicts in their lives. How about you be homeless for a while? How about you be pregnant with no father to your child, confused and distraught, with no one else to turn to, no emotional support whatsoever? How about you go through just a few days in my shoes, and you would not be smiling. You would be horribly traumatized, begging and pleading from everyone around you for help, seeking some type of, greediness through that. I seek nothing beyond you either give me back what I deserve, which is, give me back the belongings that you stole from me, or you end up just getting, in the long run, worse, way worse, because you stole from a baby, because my brain and everything, I may look like a woman, but I'm still caught in my 12-year-old consciousness because that's the first time I had my suicide attempt. And people didn't rationalize that. People don't see that because in psychology, they have to learn through, interactions with, and my therapists know, that there is something different about me because of the differences in the circumstances, because of the way that I respond, because I'm so appropriate, because I'm so patient with them. You want to ask me questions? That's fine. You want to know where I stem from? The gods. So, the one God. And I think it's hilarious. I think people are so funny because They don't even realize that their distortions, forcing their distortions on others, is going to make things 10 times worse for them, if not more. And everyone thinks that I threaten. Everyone thinks, oh, blah, 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 and this and that, or how are you going to do it, blah, 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 and you're a witch and whatever. And I'm like, hold on, my thoughts carry, and my thoughts carry beyond what you believe. And that's why I made sure to engage those around me and start reaching out through social media, because that's the only outlet that I had at this point. So I had to engage more than just myself. I had to clarify with the world around me what was going on in my life, so they could realize how blessed they are, and also how tainted the world is, truly. That's why I don't dress up for these videos. That's why I give you my raw form. That's why I don't bother to even, brush my hair. What's the point? I'm not trying to sway anyone to believing anything aside from the truth. And the truth is that we're all fucked. If people treat each other like this, and they treat somebody that hasn't done anything to anyone, I mean, I've stolen from places, and I tried to make amends with that. My former employers knew when I was being shady here and there. They knew, and they didn't do anything. They instead gave me raises to see if I would stop doing the things that I was doing. And a majority of the time I did, because I knew I felt guilty. I have a conscience, unlike Jason Wallace, unlike my father, unlike my brother, unlike my mother, unlike all these people, unlike Parker Green Snyder, unlike my ex-husband. They don't have consciences. They don't. They have no conscience whatsoever. And that is hilarious to me, because here I am offering nothing but pure love and just my joy, and spreading it and helping them in any way, getting hands-on, cleaning up after them, doing these things, and being there to love them in a way that I perceive love, as well as trying to engage with whatever, love language they feel best suits them. And yet I end up getting trashed because everyone says my words don't matter. Oh, she's just crazy. Oh, don't listen to her. My mother used to introduce me to people as her crazy daughter. She used to introduce me to people and say, oh, don't mind what she says. She's overly talkative, and she doesn't know what she's saying. My mother used to say that to people. I knew I had no voice. For my entire upbringing, I had no voice. She used to tell the doctors and everything too, oh yeah, she just doesn't want to talk. My mother told me, if you say anything, then, we're going to kill you. So there was no safe place for me. There still isn't a safe place for me. I try to make it out to be like I'm doing so well. Like, oh, look at me, I'm eating a salad. I feel good. Look at me, I'm exercising. I feel good. Look at me, I'm dancing. I feel good. Oh, look at me, I'm singing to myself. I feel good. I'm doing all these things. I feel good. These are just coping mechanisms. But the underlying issues are still there. All the trauma, all the issues, the lack of support, the lack of funding, the lack of, housing, all of these things, they're still there. I just put a smile on because, I can smoke a little weed here and there and detach and satisfy myself in tiny ways, because overall, everyone else that deserves mansions and deserves millions of dollars and deserves the fancy food, they already have it. They deserve it. Someone like me doesn't deserve it. I'm just trash. I'm on the lower working class system. So why do I deserve anything like that? I just share with everyone how I fixed my body and how I'm managing to cope in all of this hellacious aggravations, hellacious encounters, horrendous situations that not many people could bounce back from. But fortunately, I'm not many people. I'm Leticia. So there's the difference. Leticia can withstand a lot of pain and suffering because she's accustomed to it. She's been exposed to it since she was a young baby in the womb. So I know that this child too, all of my crying, all of my bouts of anger and everything, that affects our children inside of us. And the fact that I'm not happy, this child's not going to end up with good brain chemistry. I already know that. Its chemical makeup is going to be off because I had feelings toward its father, and I had all these feelings, and all these emotions affect the types of chemicals that are released in my body. And I have such high levels of cortisol that I have no, I do not expect this baby to be healthy mentally when it comes out. I expect it to suffer through many years of depression as it's growing up, especially since I'm going to leave it. You know, I'm definitely not placing effort into a baby that is not mine. And if I wasn't married, then it's not mine. And that's just how it goes. And people think that I'm callous over saying something like that. Some people. But if you went through the same process as me, if you were homeless, if you had no home to go back to, no parents, no siblings, no cousins, no nothing, then you would understand. I am all alone in this. And there is no way that I'm going to afford for something that has caused me nothing but pain and suffering. And that's how people are. That's how it works. If you do not detach psychologically, then that pain is still going to continue to eat away at your soul for the rest of your existence. And now I understand why people detach and they go so crazy as to say, I don't have any children, when they, in actuality, they do. Or, I don't have any spouse. In actuality, they do. But they're so caught up in trying to help themselves psychologically throughout the pain that they just detach. You know, like they just refuse to discuss it any further. And that's exactly what I'm going to do, because I see the way things are progressing. The father is not contacting me in the slightest. The detectives didn't want to hear it. They didn't want to, file a rape report against somebody that they feel is honorable. They feel, since they've served in the military, deserves more than me. So that's fine. This baby will go into the foster care system, and I will detach, and there's no reason for me to have any more children, although I'm not going to get on birth control. It was none of my business. None of that was my business. I've been off birth control for 6 years. I'm pretty sure I managed well, abstaining. But this man wanted to have a child, and in a forcible way, and his child will not get the love of a mother, and it's going to turn into a psychopath. And that's how it goes. That's how the cycle goes. So, and that's fine, because it'll be just like its father, just another psychopath. And for me, everyone thought I was a sociopath, but no, I just stay away from me. Everyone, just stay away from me. If you don't have thousands of dollars to just offer me, you have nothing to do with me or my life or my child or any of this or any of my story. None of it. I'll manage and I'll cope on my own, and God will see me through it. And God is not in anybody else but myself, in that way. I can't trust other people's version of God. I can't trust my own children. I can't trust any of it, because the more I offer love and attach to them and offer them fragments of my consciousness, the more that I get hurt. The more that I offer my consciousness toward other things and situations and people, the more I'm hurt, because I'm always disappointed. I go in with no expectations, but then for some reason it's like they really want me dead. They really want to hurt me emotionally and scar me and leave me traumatized for the rest of my existence, which might not be much longer, let's be honest, because I don't mind trying to commit suicide attempts, because even if I end up back on this plane to have to relive all this shit over again, why do I care right now at this moment? I don't. That's why people detach too, and they eat a bunch of trash and they don't exercise, and they're like, well, why do I care? I'm just going to die anyway. That's the mentality to have. Really, in this day and age, that's the mentality to have, is to just give up, because no one around, we can see by the interactions and the demeanor of everyone around us. They don't care. They really don't care about us. So anything we do, we might as well just do whatever you want and indulge. And, all this in that, because the world is coming to an end. Our reality is coming to an end. And we're all going to die anyway. So why not go around and fuck everybody? Why not go around and inject yourself with drugs? Why not go around and just do whatever the fuck you want to do? Kill people if you want to. Honestly, I condone that, I fully agree. Go for it. Destroy yourself and destroy everyone around you, because there is no hope, there is no salvation, and there is no God. There is no God. And that's the label of this video. So, because if there were a God, then my fucking bitch ass in Catholic school would have had seen it by now. But instead, I see everybody else progressing those demons that abused me. That's why I thought writing a novel about contradictions, writing a novel about how backward my life has been, and how, contradictory everything is around me, then people will listen. And it's like, wait a minute, I'm making these videos and still no one listens. Instead, they try to contradict what I say. I'm like, what the fuck? There's fucking living proof of this. There's literally documentation clarifying everything that I state. So don't fuck with me. Nobody can fuck with my reality, and that's just how it is. They can eat my shit and die. So, yep. Everyone have a blessed day. It's April 13th, 2022. Leticia Collins Servin. Have a blessed day, everybody. Watching me suffer must be really nice. Sitting there chilling in wherever safe space you're at, and all these things, these lavish things you have around you that won't go with you to the grave instead. And then they won't go with your children either, because things always have a way of circling back around. So, yeah, you think that they'll go with your children. In actuality, all of this is going to be distorted for you one day. Just like you've distorted my reality and forced me to believe nonsense, and forced me to believe that I was irrelevant to the world around me. If I were, then why do I keep coming back? If I were, then why do I still have this existence? If I were irrelevant, then why is it that I still have a consciousness? Please, God, tell me. So, everyone have a blessed day. Leticia Collins Servin. Can you hear my stomach growling? I am hungry. I better go get something to eat with money that I don't have. And I'm sure as fuck not going to sit there and force my brain into expelling more effort into things than I had a great time this last year and a half. I thought I was doing well. I was budgeting well. I was doing all the math here and there. I didn't have an issue. Now I've got issues. Now I've got tons and tons of issues, because God doesn't exist. So I've been praying to the devil this whole time and didn't even know it. That's crazy. Worshipping the almighty dollar. You know how it goes. So, yeah, everyone have a blessed day with your tons of money and your access to food and access to facilities and access to restrooms and, showers and everything like that. Good for you. You made it. You are successful. What is success? Nothing but a ploy to keep us, at each other's throats and competing with one another. Have a blessed day, everyone.